5-minute questions from each member, and I have a couple of topics I'd like to ask each of you about. And the first is actually a very simple yes or no, and then I'd like to do a follow-up. But starting with Inspector General Goldsmith Romero, at this committee's recent digital assets hearing, all the witnesses advocated for greater federal oversight of the spot market for digital assets and stated the CFTC is well positioned to regulate the market. Simple question. Do you believe that today there is sufficient regulatory oversight of the spot digital asset market?
No, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson?
No, Chairwoman.
Yeah.
No, Chairman.
No, Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Well, we're starting from agreement. This is good. So let me ask a follow-up to speak about the CFTC's positioning to regulate spot digital asset commodities. Do you think it's well positioned to do that? And could speak to that a moment?
Absolutely.
I would agree, yes.
Yeah, great.
I would agree as well.
Yes, Chairwoman.
Well, Senator Bozeman, I think we got some work to do with the commission, right? So great. Thank you very much. Let me now move to another really critical area of tremendous risk in many, many ways, and that's the climate crisis. Chair Benham has stated that climate change poses a major threat to the U.S. financial system, and other financial regulators have echoed that view. Do you agree? And if so, what will you do to help address this risk if confirmed? And let me start again with Inspector General Goldsmith Romero.
Thank you, Chairwoman, for that very, very important question. I do agree that there is a threat. I think the CFTC's role is to first understand that threat, understand the amount of risk, and to engage in that. And I would work with the chairman with that. The other thing I wanted to point out is that the derivatives market provide an opportunity to hedge against that risk, particularly as we transition to a carbon neutral environment. And so these are the things I would focus on if I'm confirmed.
Yes. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman, for that question. I would echo my fellow nominees' emphasis on the CFTC's role in this context. The markets that the CFTC oversees include derivatives that directly relate to these questions, but also registrants and others. In this context, the agricultural community, we can imagine as well, who regularly depend on derivatives to determine price and to manage and mitigate risk. So there are a number of constituents that are deeply impacted by severe weather events. The increased number of severe weather events and the frequency of those events is certainly of concern to all of them. And yes, I support Chair Benham and my fellow nominees and would look into this inviting conversation from all constituents.
Thank you very much. Ms. Merzinger.
Thank you for the question. Climate risk is one of the many risks that businesses need to prepare for. And I believe the CFTC's markets actually serve as a tool in this effort, and certainly in managing the risk that comes from extreme weather and climate, but also in managing transition risk as we try to move to a net zero economy. We already have some existing contracts trading in this area, and if confirmed, I look forward to working closely with Chairman Benham as he addresses this issue.
Thank you very much. Ms. Pham.
Chairwoman, it's a hard issue that needs to be thoughtfully studied. This impacts so many important stakeholders, from market participants to end users and up and down the value chain. With that level of scale and complexity, there's always the question of this risk, and I believe in the power of markets to provide solutions. There's opportunities here for innovation and new risk management products, and I'd like to point out that the CFTC has been doing that since day one.
Thank you. And finally, a question for Ms. Johnson on cybersecurity. We know that cyber attacks are becoming much more commonplace, and we're certainly hearing about this now in the context of what's happening internationally, and pose clear risks to our financial markets and our national security. How do you think the CFTC can most effectively monitor for cyber threats and keep them from disrupting our derivatives markets?
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Stabenow, for that question. This is a critical issue for our time and on this particular day for our nation and around the world. The threat is real, and there is a certainty of need for preparedness. Preparedness on the part of the agency in its ability to execute its mission and effectively oversee markets and ensure market integrity and stability. So therefore, we will continue to integrate 21st century technology within the agency to ensure preparedness and system safeguards of the agency's systems itself, but also engage continuously in communication and conversation with registrants and others. In periods of extreme disruption or high volatility, the CFTC is boots on the ground, the cop on the beat, if you will, and prepared in many instances to assist registrants with organizing resiliency, recovery programs. Each has indicated already to the CFTC and remains in conversation with the agency about day one plans for instances in which there are breaches or disruptions of service. I would like to commit to continue in that endeavor and support the chair and the agency in ensuring its systems preparedness as well as that of those operating in our markets.
Thank you very much. I'll now